Hello.
First, I'd like to thank you all for being here and for giving me this opportunity to speak. And Assemblyman Graff, I have signed your petition, and I have shared it widely. My name is Pamela Howe. I am a parent in the New Hartford School District. My son is currently in 4th grade. I am an active member of Opt Out Central New York. I have done research on the Common Core and Race to the Top for a little over 2 years. I refused my son from both the math and the ELA state tests last year. I'm here today because I believe that our children deserve more than a one-size-fits-all education. I believe in our teachers and their ability to teach and inspire children without following a scripted module. I believe the Common Core state standards problems have many layers. But given the time, I can only touch on a few. First would be the standards, the curriculum, the modules. From my experience with my own son and from talking with other parents and reading every day, they are developmentally inappropriate. They are focused on advanced critical thinking and interpretation of text that many kids simply cannot achieve at such a young age. Cognitively, young children lack the development to handle this type of rigid coursework, resulting in children being emotionally distraught, frustrated, overwhelmed, and they deem themselves as failures or stupid. Every day online, you see parents posting pictures of kids writing notes on their papers. I am stupid, I can't get this, Common Core sucks. I mean, it's terrible. There's a problem day after day when students cannot complete their own homework independently. Parents cannot even help them. Parents are frustrated, they're overwhelmed. The narrowing of curriculum diminishes both teacher and student creativity. It doesn't support authentic learning or foster an excitement for learning. Forcing all children to learn in the same way is wrong. We have plenty of research-based evidence from professionals that support this. Where is the research on Common Core? There is none. Zero. The creators have no idea how this will turn out. Bill Gates himself said it'll take 10 years before we know if it was a success or a failure. I'm sorry, I can't sit around and wait 10 years to find out if this is going to be helpful for my son or not. Our children are being used in some kind of experiment for profit. We teach our children from a very young, early age that we are all unique and wonderful individuals. We all have different strengths, talents, abilities, weaknesses. Yet now we send them to school and all are expected to read the same, comprehend the same, think the same, and respond the same. Carbon copies, if you will. Our children are not mechanical robots. Education is more than just math and ELA. The students need and deserve time for science, social studies, music, arts, sports, and recess. Believe it or not, some districts no longer have recess because of the Common Core, because there simply is no time. Many students we know that students need recess. It's one of the most beneficial parts of their day is to be able to get out and unwind, and how can we allow it to be taken away from them? I think it's important to talk about the modules. Many districts, many teachers are not getting the modules in an appropriate time frame. How can they properly prepare? Many of the modules are filled with errors, missing information. Some of the modules are still being written. They're not even available. We've heard time and time again from Commissioner King that districts don't have to use the modules or follow the modules verbatim, that it's up to the individual districts to decide. Many teachers are afraid to deviate from the modules due to the fact that the state tests are now aligned with their evaluations based on their students' state test scores. This is outrageous. One test cannot possibly measure the effectiveness of a teacher. It's insulting that the New York State Department of Education thinks that we are okay with this, because we are not. Too many of our best teachers are leaving the profession that they once loved. If the Common Core state standards are everything king and the state ed department says they are, why are they not answering our questions? Why are they not lining up in droves to send their children to public schools? I'll tell you why. Because they aren't in the least bit interested and the future educational success of our children. They don't care about our teachers, and they care even less about our children. They have proven this by not answering the questions and concerns of parents, educators, administrators, assembly people, senators from across the state. Assemblyman Thomas Avenanti said it best. He said, and I quote, "King is the master of avoiding answering questions." I couldn't agree more. Their total disdain and disregard for public process shows us loud and clear that they do not believe that they are subject to the same rules and regulations as you and me. The only thing on their minds is what corporate sponsor is going to next line their pocket. There's nothing going on here more than a politically charged agenda with our children being sacrificed. I cannot and will not stand by quietly and let my child or our children be used as leverage. It's wrong. Finally, I'd like to share my concerns about In Bloom and the sharing of student and personal data. Why is New York the only state left to sign on? I have watched both the state Senate education hearing on 11/13 and the more recent state assembly meeting on 11/20 on data sharing in their entirety. The questions raised were very valid concerns. 400 points of data to be uploaded per student to a cloud that they cannot guarantee the safety of. What is the purpose? One very important piece of information is missing from this data collection, and that is the state math and ELA test scores. Teachers are not allowed to see them, districts cannot see them, parents cannot see them, students cannot see them. They cannot be viewed in order to make modifications to the curriculum or drive instruction in the classroom. Doesn't make any sense. Why collect data when the most important element, according to state ed, is under lock and key? There's also no provision for parents to opt out of the data sharing. Parents have absolutely no say in the matter, and King said that data is necessary for the good and functioning of schools, districts, and states. It's funny to me how 49 other states are getting along just fine without signing on to In Bloom. They seem to understand the danger that this poses. Parents in America should have the absolute right and final say as to what kind of data and information on their child is to be shared. We are the only state in the country that even considered not giving parents the right to opt out of data sharing. The state ed department has built a brick wall for the last 2 years about this and has denied parents even the most minimal information, while at the same time giving away our students' personal data. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Hang on. We got questions for you.
Quickly, just on the data part, which you are 100% right about. Clearly, there's a reason why other states are doing things on this, and I do want you to know that the State Assembly has already passed 2 bills, one dealing with the release of personally identifying information, and one that would allow an opt-out procedure for parents. They've passed the State Assembly. My understanding on the Senate side is they are confident that there will be action taking on those in January. So hopefully we start to really stand up to protect the students' data, because what's going on here is just, if there are people out there, I'll tell you, as we've gone around the state on these, and if they were concerned on no other part of this, everybody should be alarmed about this part of it. So your concerns definitely are already being heard, and I hope that we will continue to do more on that to make sure we protect the data of children, because Al can tell you, his own local district was the one out on Long Island where some of the information ended up online already and everything. So, there's major concerns with this.
My 27-year-old son, or 29-year-old son, his data was compromised. My daughter's data was compromised. And one of the most alarming things is that certain students, their IAP was put online. So that's their medical information and everything else.
And there's also disciplinary records and things that are also,
So
Parents need to be aware.
now your son, how old is your son?
He's 9.
How many hours of homework is he doing a night?
I'm very lucky that, he's been accelerated since kindergarten. So he's done in about 15 or 20 minutes. However, a few of his friends come over a few nights a week and we sit and do homework, and they're there for just about an hour.
Okay.
For one math worksheet.
Yeah, one of the things I know when I used to sub and stuff, and the parents would all run up to me and ask me how much homework that kid had, and my answer was always, I don't do homework, because I had 3 kids that all did figure skating, they did hockey, they did Boy Scouts, and I'm just hearing a lot of these parents are telling me that my kids, they're not doing this anymore because they're too wrapped up, they're too stressed. And the other thing, and as a parent, you're speaking to other parent, I'm hearing that parents are actually, with the stress and everything else, are actually getting their kids medicated to go to school.
Yes.
So
And I have an accelerated student. Here I am sitting at this table crying in front of complete strangers.
Well,
It's
look, you're not the only one.
Oh, I know.
This,
I know. I watch,
This is a concern all over the state. But I want to thank you for coming and talking to us.
Just a quick question, if I may, very briefly, or a comment. First of all, the hearing on In Bloom, you're absolutely right, but there was also and you may have heard me ask the commissioner and his deputy commissioner, there is an aspect to it, biographical information about the student that is there, and I ask what kinds of biographical information, questions about the parents, affiliations, socioeconomic. So they are really doing a very potential for a very extensive profile, and I find that very scary.
very scary.
Yeah, if you think about the data, Al's kids graduated 10 and 11 years ago, and their data is now out in the universe. I mean, that's just, it could go, who knows when it would end. That's the really alarming part about it.
But you mentioned a couple things about corporate profits and profits, and again, I'm probably hearing the same kinds of things you're hearing. Could you go into a little more detail about what you mean by that? That are individual companies developing these modules or having input into these modules? Is there a financial interest for them to have this accepted and used nationwide?
Absolutely. I mean, did anyone read the Albany newspaper last night? I mean, our own Regent Merle Tisch is contributing money. There's a lot of them. There's Bill and Melinda Gates.
Well, I knew
Carnegie.
Bill and Melinda Gates are involved in. Is it Rupert Murdoch?
I don't have all. There's quite a list. I don't have them all embedded in my brain at the moment. But there's a good list of them that are contributing money to.
And I'm sure people may or may not know this, but right now the Gates Foundation is contributing philanthropically to develop In Bloom. But after 2 years, that money goes away, and then there's a per-student charge. And one of the things that came out of this hearing the other day, it started out with 9 states expressing an interest, and you're absolutely right, we're down to just New York. So if you go from 9 to 1, it would seem logical that the 1 remaining would have a bigger financial obligation under this. So we don't even know, they're forcing it, so we don't even know what the ultimate financial obligation is, and is this just a way for the cloud or Amazon or whoever's behind this to perpetuate their products? I guess that's a real serious question, and I think you've addressed yourself to it, and I think you're right to.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your input.
Thank you.